All right. Are we ready, Joey? Joey?
We're starting.
Oh, we are? Oh, we're... No. Did you just start the damn thing?
Yes.
You piggy poo. All right. Well, we are starting. So, Joey, this is Freedom Crock. And is Freedom a crock? Is it a real thing? Or is it fake? Does Freedom
You
even...
know, that is the question here on transparency and merit. I just wish we had more transparency in this world, man. That is the
Yeah, we don't, man. We do not have...
What's up with that?
We do not have freedom in this world. It's something that like I said, I don't think freedom. By the way, Joey, I don't think freedom exists. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think that freedom exists the way we think it does, because
I agree with you. I tend to think that ultimate freedom is so beyond our grasp. I don't think any of us have lived a single day completely free.
No, and I think we are. I think we are subject. I think we are subject to our desires and to our will, which I think makes freedom impossible to a degree. There are things that make life better, and I think that the human condition that we are living under, basically, it doesn't even. What's going on here? Oh, here we go.
Oh, you're about to play a clip, right? Is that what's going on?
You know what? Let me. I thought you were going to play a song or something like that. There was something that you were going to play.
No, I already played it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it was just a freedom rock.
Well, let me get onto my Twitter here.
I'll play it again, the beginning.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I'm gonna search for this clip real quick.
Well, turn it up, man. Were you not able to hear it?
No. I thought I tweeted this to myself.
Ryan, were you able to hear it?
Was I able to hear it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you know what? It's not showing up on my notifications. I do not know why this is not showing up on my notifications, and it kind of disappoints me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. Because I thought it would...
Well, listen, Freedom Crock, because we're told we live in the most free country in the world. But I think the more people open their eyes to it, we're pretty much...
Okay, here it is. Here's... Okay, here's...
Because it reminds me of a life.
All right. Hold on a second, Brian. Hold on. You're out of control. You're out of control.
Okay.
All right. So I tend to think, like I said before, I don't think we've lived a day free in our entire lives. And why is that? Because I think ultimately anybody with a birth certificate is a slave in some way or another, and basically in all ways. But I don't want to go down that road tonight. We are going to go down this road. So what is this video you're going to play?
This video is about an actor, and it cuts off in a little bit, but he's talking about the vaccine, and the fact is that this man has taken a stand against the vaccine, and he has paid a rather heavy price for his stance, and I am at this point rather agnostic on the vaccine, but again, this is something that it seems like we cannot question. And
agnostic. So does that mean, are you trying to say you're neutral?
I'm agnostic to the fact that I don't know how effective or ineffective it is. I think there has been a lot of propaganda on both sides, and this is just me. There's been a lot of propaganda on both sides, and I kind of believe that the mainstream media has been very reckless with regards to their behavior, and they've been proven to be wrong and misinformed. And I think in a lot of ways they are very arrogant and very egocentric.
Who? The media?
Oh, the media, yes. And this is and you know, you've always had perhaps the characters that have acted this way, but never to this extent.
It's
And I,
it's like they're not even trying anymore. I think is what's going on. It's easy to see through it.
well, yeah, well, I think maybe the internet shows them like how often they get things wrong, but I think to a degree, I think this is a generational thing. And generations before did not behave in the same way, and there's been a loss of of value of, like, you know, thinking for the other side, and knowing how the other side thinks. And the media, the corporate media does not do that. They are so they seem to be so ideologically driven that it makes them so myopic, narrow-minded and myopic that they cannot even see beyond their own nose. Anyway, let's take a look here at this. This is I don't even know his name, but he's an actor, and he kind of gives a story, and he talks about the struggles that he has been through with regards to his stance on taking the vaccine.
Desperately to forget.
All right. Turn it up a little bit.
Trying to forget it because the contrast between what my life was and what it is now, to be completely candid, often drives me to despair. So now I'm staring down the barrel of 40 years of age. I no longer reside in the city formerly known as New York, a place I called home for a decade and a half. I wait tables for a living, something I hadn't had to do since I was 22 years old. I no longer have a powerful manager sending me auditions for lucrative, high-profile, life-changing projects, and I no longer have the prospect of earning a 5-figure weekly salary, working in TV or on Broadway. And so now the prospect of paying off all those NYU loans, maybe even starting a family, have become even more distant dreams. I'm now shut out of the entertainment industry. I have few marketable skills because I never needed them. The few skills I did work on centered around acting and singing, skills which are high valued in New York and Los Angeles, but which, as you might imagine, have very little value outside of the arts and entertainment sector. I feel as though I'm starting over, from scratch, and must learn things that most adults my age, many of whom have families and other weighty responsibilities, have mastered. And so you may be asking yourself, well, what the hell happened? Why have I gone from being a billboard with my likeness on it in the middle of Times Square, winning standout notices in the New York Times and guest starring on network television, to where I am now? Well, it's quite simple. I refuse to allow any employer, or by extension the government, to act as my healthcare provider and to dictate what I inject into my body.
All right. So this is basically he's saying he's taking a stand about what he will not inject or not inject. Now, I have taken the vaccine, and others have not. But let's continue.
I have not.
I refuse to be bullied or coerced or shamed into taking a medical product that I neither want nor need. I've been extraordinarily vocal in my opposition to what I view as grotesque and egregious state overreach into private affairs and personal freedoms. Indeed, even if things were to magically return to normal tomorrow, I'm greatly disturbed by the precedent which has been set, wherein government officials and bureaucrats can take it upon themselves to determine who is essential and who is not, to decide who gets to operate their business and who does not, and in some cases decide who's allowed to travel and who is not. I mean, we're still winning tennis tournaments, so, you know, what are you going to do about that? Now, part of the mission of the Mises Institute is to promote individual freedom. As an actor, I was trained to be a conduit and a vessel for both the splendor and the tragedy of the human condition. And as such, I'm also a staunch advocate for the freedom of expression and a firm believer in and champion of the irrepressible fire and vitality of the spirit. As an artist, while I can appreciate form and structure, I also value nonconformity, especially when it challenges an increasingly square and constrictive status quo. And so, although I've paid a price, I'll never regret standing up to and forcefully saying no to a repressive, nonsensical, unethical, and ultimately unnecessary encroachment on our freedoms. I'll always enjoy denouncing short-sighted, inept, or corrupt elites. I don't really call them elites, but for the sake of simplicity, I'll refrain from calling them what I normally do, which is garbage people. Their arrogance has deluded them into thinking their credentials or their position qualify them to dictate to me what is for my own good, as if they know and care for me better than I could know. And
What was your, yeah, and it cut off at deep. What was your opinion on that, Joe?
You know, I feel everybody has the opportunity to recognize that they are a living man or woman. And it's good to see people stand up like that. I don't know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I should. Who is that guy?
You know what? I just saw him on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a no-name, or at least to the average schmo, seems like a theater actor maybe or something. Sounds very thespian-like, but you know, it's in his community, that's like a wave, and it may reach a person or two or many. I do the same in my community. I'm very vocal, and I have been since day one. I wear it on my shoulder, and I'm not looking for any confrontation or anything like that. I'm looking for honest people who have the patience to slow their brains down for a second, hear me out, and I'll do the same for them. And I've been met with a lot of aggression, and and I'll be honest, it's kind of aggression I hadn't seen in my life in probably 40 years, like since I was a kid. I don't remember having these sorts of rumbles ever, and it's in my family, and it's also been with random people that I don't know, and it's been quite a thing, man. Speaking my mind, it feels good, it feels honest, but at the same time, sometimes I'll be honest, it feels a little dangerous right now, and so I'm picking my battles. But I'm and when I say battle, I really just mean I'm looking for opportunities to say what I want to say when I want to say it, and I don't go outside of that. Just based on the lessons I've learned. It's very difficult to help people, and many times helping people results in what do they say? No good deed goes unpunished, and I feel like maybe something I'm saying might be misconstrued and taken the wrong way. So I moved beyond it. I continue to learn and listen to people I respect, and it feels good to have a choice, at least for now, to reach out for a book or something I don't know and learn about it. And that's what I've been doing, man. That's kind of how I take it, and I've really focused on independence and not relying on jobs I don't like, or being in situations I don't want to be in, or even hanging out and talking to people I don't want to talk to. So it's been a very good time for that. How about you?
You know what? This is really a time, Joey, where we're seeing people really divided in this country and in this land. And there is just a vindictive streak, a streak of malice among a lot of people out there if you do not go along with the hive mind. And it's hard to say whether or not these people are the majority of thinkers, but they seem to have grasped the corridors of power. And you know, this is really, I mean, for me speaking, although I don't think freedom exists, the types of things that we enjoyed and the conversations that I enjoyed with friends and other people have been, you know, like curtailed. I mean, where I live, when we talked about politics and things, we had to kind of keep secret because there were very vindictive, malice-minded people out there who would try to threaten you, if not physically, economically. And for me, that is a bigger threat than any foreign nation. Someone who can extract you from the economy, extract you from your job. That's really a danger that we live in. And these, you know, like, I ask, you know, because I'm not sure whether due process is just applied with regards to a court of law, or if it can be applied to other areas. And any time I ask somebody that question, when they start to veer off in another direction, no, I know where their morality stands, and they stand, in my opinion, with the hive mind, and they enjoy the power that they have, and they enjoy doing harm to those who go against their ideology. And I am very convinced that we have a lot of people that lie and that misinform. And if you start to tell the truth about those who lie and misinform, they will attack you. And it's, I guess for me, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, you know, those movies you see of those, like, of people who are like just caught up, like the movie Bridge on the River Kwai. When the Alec Guinness character, when he helps build the bridge, he helps the Japanese build the bridge. He is so impressed with that bridge that he tries to stop, that he forgets which side he's on. And when a group of Allied troops goes to try to blow up the bridge, he tries to stop them. And I feel like there are people right now who are so entrenched in their beliefs and think they're doing that what they're doing is good and noble, that they will do awful and terrible things to achieve their ideals of nobility. And this is unquestioned. They believe that they have such moral high ground that they cannot be questioned in any way. And that's really some dangerous times. When you refuse to be questioned and you get things wrong and you act the way you do and you have no, there seems to be no actualization or no self-reflection of how other people see you and how the other side sees you. And you think you know the other side, but you don't.
And maybe I can chip in here a second. And I tend to believe that, and I heard this phrase of a spiritual war, I heard spiritual war, going back a couple years, and I questioned that, but the more I think about it, the more it makes sense that it's not about always what we hear or even see. It's about there's an element of spirituality to it all. And I know this sounds new agey and maybe a little off, but this is kind of how I view it, because you can't see spirituality always. Some people wear it on their sleeves. I get it, but you can't always see it, and sometimes it's shielded, and I think maybe that could be explain a little bit about what you're saying, that some people are taking these things at a different spiritual level, and I just wonder at what level of spirituality we're playing at here. I read once that a student asked his master how he could live life in order to achieve a higher spiritual level. The master replied that the example he needed has always surrounded us. He then told the student to learn how to live his life from the plant kingdom, as it's always in perfect harmony with creation. He then said, move through life as a bee does. And then years later, I read that bees exist, in fact, at a higher plane or resonance than we do. And I've also read in mainstream science textbooks that bumblebees shouldn't even be able to fly, Brian, and that science has no explanation. And then yet another spiritual text that I read later informed me that the resonance of a bumblebee's vibration creates a state of weightlessness in flight. I mean, it's not always something, I guess the point is, it's not always something we see, even though it's right in front of our faces. And it's a very tricky thing to navigate. And it may be the cause or the root or one of the roots of all this division. So that's my 2 cents for that.
Well, I think you have to be clear on the things that you do see, and you have to be aware of the tactics these individuals use and the tactics that they are using and their behaviors, and what is the best way to go around, and what are the best tactics to fight this this malice-minded group. What is to me, like I said, there are groups in this country that seem to be a bigger threat than any foreign nation. And I believe that this is really a fight for the West. These groups have entrenched themselves into the West and into, I think, the Anglosphere primarily. And they have an ideology of compliance. You must comply. You must obey without debate, without discussion. And they have taken over. They seem to have taken over much of our establishment institutions, much of our economy. And what is the best way to resist them? What are some of the ways that people who want to resist this ideology and this group, what are some of the best ways to do so? And a lot of people think, being a patriot and buying only American. Well, these large American companies despise and hate you if you disagree with them and if you disobey them. And they will punish you as though you are not even human. Your human rights to them do not even exist.
At some point, do you think, Brian, maybe they won't even offer people who disagree their product?
They may not. And that's why you may want to go outside of the United States for a product. We are a world. The thing is, we are a world economy, and you have to go like to get a phone. If you want to build a phone, you're going to have to go to China, and that's just the way it is. Or India, but you're going to have to go to one of these foreign countries. And in my opinion, these foreign countries are not the people who shut you down. They're not the people who defunded the police. They are not the people who, basically let rioters loose. These are people in your own country who have an ideology. And they don't respect you. And as a matter of fact, they despise and hate you. So what do you do? How do you handle it? Well, first thing, you recognize, how do these people treat you? These are abusive people. These are like abusive parents or an abusive spouse. And at this point, you are dependent upon them.
High Ridge Estate says worldwide socialist revolution is the only solution.
Well, I have different solutions, and I have different beliefs than that. I think, again, that there has to be a group of people that have means and has the legal and ethical mind to and the economic mind and the economic power to fight these institutions, to successfully fight them, because right now, again, they control the means of communication, and it's the so-called pen, as you say, the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, they control the printing. They control the modern day printing press, and they can gather their troops online to attack you, to expel you from the workforce, and expel you from the workforce and expel you from the economy. They have the ability to do this without question, without any kind of due process. They can absolutely they can be completely punitive to you. They can punish you in the most horrific ways. And there is they've driven one man to suicide. These are vicious people, and they believe in their ideology, and they have no empathy, they have no pity, and they have no mercy for those who go against them. And this is not just in America. Again, this is throughout the so-called civilized world. These people, yeah.
Do people out there agree? I'm just checking in with the audience here. Does anybody out there agree or disagree with Brian? Continue, sir.
I don't know whether the people here agree or disagree with me. They may, because the hive mind is a very powerful. The hive mind has done a rather good job in brainwashing people to believe in certain aspects of their ideology, and they can smear a person or smear an organization and fool with the perceptions of the people where they could just go into oblivion, and other people are just afraid to deal with him. I mean, the Republican Party, to a degree, is controlled by the woke. Whether you like it, yeah.
I wonder if they, meaning whoever is powerful at the moment, whether it's what you claim is this leftist media or leftism, are they going to continue to poke and poke until people act out? I mean, until they get a response. I mean, what is it going to take for people to stand up? Okay, I think enough people have seen enough BS from the media to recognize that we're being lied to, we're being poked at, and I wonder how many pokes does it take to get to the center of a pokey bear? What is it going to take for people to collectively to defeat, to turn over the court of public opinion, which is so strong?
That really is the question. That is the question of the day. When and how the tide will turn, or if it turns. Now, Nazi Germany, they had a war and they destroyed the Nazis. Russia, it took a while for the thing to turn. Not after millions of people, millions of people died, and then there was just after many years there was an ideological breakdown of that society. So who knows how that's going to happen, but it is your duty to resist, but you must resist in an intelligent manner. And again, do what you can to throw gears and find out what legal recourse you have and what moral recourse you have. Well, the U.S. has killed millions of people. I've never said that the U.S. has not. We killed in times of war. Whether those wars were just or not, we fought World War II. The last couple of wars, World War II, Korea, Vietnam.
Now, how do you defeat this stigma? Brian is brainwashed. Wait, I'm reading that.
Okay.
Brian is brainwashed by right-wing propaganda.
I don't have my water right now, and I want to take my medication, but I don't believe that. Again, if I am, and that's just his opinion. And again, if people believe, right now, if individuals believe. Right now, enough individuals believe that what I say and what others say is right-wing propaganda. They can punish you. The truth is, the left does control the establishment.
And I will disagree in saying, and this is all, maybe to play devil's advocate, but I do believe that the right is just as bad. When you turn the tables and go full on right, there's, to me, very little meaning in taking a side.
You are correct. They can be just as myopic and just as just as authoritarian as the left. Almost as authoritarian as the left. But right now, it is the left that controls the establishment, and they control the means of communication. And I think, as of now, you kind of got to team up with who you team up with to defeat this enemy. And again, I think they are a bigger threat than any foreign nation. And they humiliate, they degrade, they defame, they debank. And they are a very malice-minded people, and human beings should know that, how vicious and how hypocritical, how cluster B type personality they look. The pattern recognitions are there with regards to their behavior, and I think these people should not these kinds of thought processes, and people should not be in charge of any institutions. The belligerent, the vicious, gaslighting, and hypocrisy are things that abusers do, and this leftist establishment seems to do it best. I have to take. I want to get my water. Joe, do you want to continue, or
Why don't you turn off your camera? Take a minute,
all right?
mute yourself, and I'll read some of the comments here while you're gone here. So I asked Brian. I read this question or this comment that Brian is brainwashed by right-wing propaganda. I don't believe that. I don't believe that one bit. He may take sides though, and I don't think that is to his benefit. But that's just my opinion, and he's got a strong argument for saying and standing where he does. And yeah, we answered that. Take the pills. Very right wing. All right. Both sides are brainwashed. And Brian knows. I think Brian sees that. I think he does. I can't hold that against him as he goes and gets his water. And I've been really adamant about not taking sides. I was going to get a quote for this show, but I didn't have time. But I think it's been known for a long time. I think there's been clues along the way. Citizen Kane is one I bring up a lot. I don't know if we haven't had a chance to review that yet, but we will. And why I feel why that was such an important, at this point, it's an important piece of research. I think everybody should know that what that movie is saying and why, especially when it said it. And you look back and it gives some context, and the media is not something that's going through a bump in the road or some sort of phase. The media has never been there to serve me, and I could say that with confidence. The media has and all you have to do is go back. Go look at some of the archived news footage, and it is the same thing that we're seeing today. And it never changes. It never changes. The only thing that does change is maybe the quality of camera work and audio equipment. But when I go back and I look at some of these old newscasts, it's mind blowing. It's like Groundhog Day, and I don't think anybody sees it. Let's see. Brian looks like he got his water. Congratulations on that. Yeah, we're just ranting. A little bit of rant today. He just says the left is evil. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm here, man. I mean, that's why we have two people, and I need to be present. There for a while, I thought Brian had really jumped off the deep end, and I didn't know if he was ever going to swim back. But maybe his diabetes stopped him. He turned back for some some of his meds or something. Anyways, what's up, man?
Yeah, I'm going to say this. I have railed against moral authoritarianism for a long time. I remember in the 80s when the religious right was, when it railed against the record labels. And at the time, now I'm kind of iffy on it, but I've been a movie fan and a film fan and a news fan for a long time, and the changes in cinema and the changes in the news, to me, is rather drastic. and I recognize these things.
Part of me wants to question your ego on that, because like a doctor or a lawyer or any professional who's spent a lot of money and years learning, and they've earned those plaques that are sitting right behind their desk, and they are held to a narrative, and they don't veer from that narrative, especially in the medical industry and in the education field, where the teachers are so blinded by leftism that they can't see that his story isn't my story, and they go about teaching in ways that are not effective, and they aren't standing up because they're afraid of losing their job, they're afraid of defending themselves, they're afraid of governing themselves, and it's time to stop. I don't know if anybody's actually going to stop, but that's how I feel. I feel it's time for everybody to look up and say, I know what I've done here. I know the commitment I've made to get earning that plaque. I know that my narrative is something I've honed for years, and it's something I've valued for since I was very small, and their egos are not allowing them to make the break. And that is genuinely how I interpret things at this point. And I've seen you grow. I'm not calling you out. I've seen you open your mind to certain ideas. You're not as closed-minded as I thought, or maybe other people thought. You're just a guy, a friend of mine who is trying to get by just like I am, and make your life, you know, as valuable as it is.
And from my perspective, human growth cannot happen unless there's a free exchange of ideas, and that's not happening. And the people stopping the free exchange of ideas are people on the left. And you can, we again, this is real moral authoritarianism, and I have railed against moral authoritarianism for most of my life. I railed against it when the church did it, and I rail against it now when leftism does it. And it is a religion. It is a faith. I'm probably, somewhat, atheist agnostic, but I see this leftism as a faith, as a religion, and they want to force this religion on the rest of us, whether it is mask mandates, whether it is getting the vaccine and not discussing what you put in your body, whether it is third wave toxic anti-racism in the way they view racism, the way they see racism, and the way in which you're able to talk about cultural issues. This is the left. And you can deny it, and you can say it's not them, and maybe you're right. But that's what I see as of now. The people who are taking away your freedom, the people that are locking you down, the people that are forcing you to wear masks, the people that are demanding you take a vaccine without question, is the left. The people that are telling you how to talk about criminal activity or how to talk about any cultural activity within this country, within this world, is the left. And
maybe, and I wonder if that's why the left is the one in charge of digitizing all of the library books in universities across the country. Go ahead.
Well, again, that's the exact same with the right. They also a religious cult. Look, I don't deny that, But that the religious cult, the so-called Christian nationalists, are not in control of the establishment. It is the woke left. They are in control of the establishment. They demand that you wear a mask wherever you go, and there may be some validity to it. But they are also the ones who want you to do this without questioning them, without any, without any transparency. So you cannot have merit without transparency. And transparency comes with debate and question. And they forbid it. This society forbids it. And I guess you can argue with me and tell me that that's not true. But try speaking out against the establishment. They punish you. Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that argument. I understand that. I understand that there are religious cults out there. There are Christian religious cults, there are Muslim religious cults, but they do not control the establishment. And for anyone to think differently is not thinking, in my opinion, is not seeing what I'm seeing. We're not seeing the same things, and they're not looking, in my opinion, they're not looking at it correctly. They can't see it. And I don't know why they can't see it, but I certainly see it. I see the hyperbolic and emotional behavior that comes from these newscasters. I see that they don't get punished for making mistakes. But YouTubers that may make a mistake or even say something that's true can be far more punished. This has become a place of elites. YouTube used to be, you could if you did something that was entertaining, you could be almost a nobody with a limited production technique, with limited production, and get a following. That's not the case anymore. And it's because of the elites. And the elites are primarily left. And they have an ideology. And they don't want that ideology questioned. Again, yeah, your government doesn't care. Again, to say your government doesn't care about you, these people think that they are doing the right thing. These people who are doing this, in my opinion, believe that they are on the side of the angels, and that what they are doing is correct and right, and that they are so correct and right that they cannot be questioned.
More ego on parade.
That is ego. We are being controlled by egotists. What do you call it when a person demands that you take a shot and you cannot question the vaccine? What do you call it when someone strives to redefine racism and you cannot question them? Or tries to redefine criminal justice and you cannot question them?
Tyranny?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You and I both, Joe, we saw the chants of Black Lives Matter when they went down the street screaming, white silence is violence. You saw those zombies, those brain dead zombies.
I sure did.
You think these people could be debated or argued with? No. This is a hive mind. That's true. Well, they have thoughts of their own, but the thoughts that have been implemented into their brain, other thoughts cannot come in there. And for them, it is painful to hear other thoughts. To a degree, these people are very sick. These are a sick-minded people. And what do you do with a sick-minded people? How do you defeat a sick-minded people? A sick-minded high. How do you defeat a sick-minded high font? How do you defeat a sick-minded hive mind? How do you defeat them? And he says socialist revolution.
I also tend to say that a people who self-govern is the way to beat that, and I don't see very many other options. If there's a supply shortage or whatever, a supply disruption or whatever they call it, what's left? If you're not getting handed a bagged lunch, which is probably what the government is hoping people do, that to get in line and wait for their handouts and get corrupted and use that as a crutch. I feel that is something that at least at the state level is what the government's maybe at the federal level is what the government's sort of assuming. Yeah, I don't know if I know. I'm just the one thing that I can't do is take sides. High Ridge, I can't take sides on this. I have to be I have to be ready for anything, and I'm hearing that more and more. And maybe I'm just echoing what I hear, but I do believe that we need to be ready for that, and the only way to do that is to self-govern. And the number one, the thing that I can do, Brian, the one thing that I can do in my life is to remove my burden on other people. And I think that's a concept that a lot of people are having a lot of difficulty reconciling, or they just don't know how. And it's as easy as taking 2 steps forward.
Again, I think to a degree, looking at reality for what it is, and realizing, I mean, as upset as I get, I have to look at reality that the conquest ethic is a reality, and it is a thing within our society.
I don't know, man. What about war? We haven't marched on since 2002, and I mean, I wonder if that is that what you're suggesting, that we're heading towards that sort of situation, or are we actually at a place where people understand we've gone through the world wars, and we've witnessed, many of us in our lifetimes have witnessed one war or another. So are we marching towards a place of elevated thought, spirituality, and knowledge, rather than belief in an ideal like we used to have, like America number one? Is that a passé thing to say now?
Joe,
Yes.
okay, in my opinion, Joe, with regards to the West, they have used different methods to conquest. It's not through force anymore. I mean, the conquest that is done with regards to the economy is not done through economic force. It's, done through certain other types of maneuvers, and it's done at the expense of the rights of others.
Well, who's checking? Who's the leader here? Because there is no checks and balances going on over there at the Federal Reserve. They're making up their own rules. You can't make this stuff up. Go check it out. What every day the Federal Reserve brings out a new thing. Like these people. Today I think it was a woman. I'm not even sure what it was. I'm not lying. Check that out, man. And look at and listen to what these people are saying. It's a story. It's one story after the next. It's one drama after the next. It's one fear tactic after the next. And if you're still keeping a foot in that game, then you're busy taking sides. You're too busy taking sides.
Fear and anger are things that should be controlled. You should be aware of your fears, and you should also be aware of your anger. They are both like fire. And fire can either help you or it can consume you. And one of the things I recommend is to be aware of these things, be aware of the reality of the reality that might happen, and plan and think ahead. And as a good, a good mental fighter, to a degree, looks at the tape of their opponent. And they basically see where they have their power and where their weaknesses are, their Achilles heels are. And sometimes you have to lose a few ideals. I think to a degree, one of the things you have to lose is this ideal of everything has to come through America. You have to be realistic about your goals and what you're fighting and who your enemy is. And sometimes you don't have an enemy, but sometimes you do have an enemy. And you have to realize who your enemy is. And this is just my opinion. I know that you do not share this, Joe, but my opinion is there is a hive mind ideology that is elite and that believes that their ideals are the best for human society and in the society in which they live. And they believe in that so highly that to even question them is considered heresy.
But are you giving these people more power than they deserve? Are you the one giving the elites power?
I am recognizing their power. Doesn't mean you give them whatever you want. You have to at times recognize, the rule. Like if you go into Iraq or Iran or Saudi Arabia, you better realize the rules that you're going into, because you can't just be a free type of person. Some of the things that you can get away with here will get you executed over there. And you have to know the rules and the power structures of these people, of these groups. And you should know them as best you can. And you should know their techniques, and their psychological behavior as best you can. And we have a blast from the past. who claims that I'm bitching. Okay.
Oh boy, that's a missile. That is a hand grenade launched right up your rectum. How are you going to respond?
You know what? There will always be people that will not agree with what you say or your assessment, and you have to move on and go to the next person. There will always be a person that will not believe in uh, in what you consider to be reality, and they may have a different reality than their own, and they may be part of the hive mind. They may believe what the hive mind believes.
Well, that is definitely where we differ. There is but one reality. I hate to break everybody the news. No, you don't have your own reality. I'm sorry to tell you. Some people still want to believe that garbage.
I want Mandy to be my mailman. Mandy stole my mail. The Ed McMahon could have been a winner, and she took it. She's got my.
She did. She took my box too.
Yeah, she may have. But you know what? I mean, again, anytime you talk to someone, they may have these hive mind beliefs, and they are online, and sometimes you have to realize that you are talking to them, and like I said, they can be a very vindictive and malice-minded group that will punish you. But I always say the turnabout is always fair play, and you may have power one day, but there could come a time when you do not, and then the worm the worm kind of turns, and you
Well,
could be.
words do change, and definitions change over time, and it's quite a thing. I remember discussing Q in 2019 in a group call, and it was all about Q and the group Q and quarantine. And one day I think we woke up and literally, Q was no longer in reference to the group. It was only about quarantine, and there's all kinds of words that continually get shifted to and fro. It's really a confusing time for that.
Well, again, I'm not a person, like I said, that certain things I don't believe in, and I don't take stock in. But there are certain things that are extremely visible. They are there for you to see. They are there for you to notice. And some of the questions some of these people will not answer, they've already answered them to you. And again, if you talk about morality to some of these people, about like what's fair online and what's moral, they go right into to legal jargon, because deep down they believe in censorship. They believe in punishment. These are a vindictive, cruel, vicious people. And my opinion is, like I said, one should think perhaps outside of the box and look for products outside of other countries. Invest where you can to make a profit, and because this is primarily an economic war, and if they can take away the products from you, you can also do the same to them.
I think even more than an economic war, I think there's an economic shift in place, and it's happening now. And there are opportunities, but there's all kinds of catches. It's
Now,
almost as if the playbook is just being written as we go.